What's up? What's up? What's up? You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. Excuse me, I got a little tongue tied right there. Something I've said so many times. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I got with me Cleveland Kate. What is up, Cleveland Kate? How are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing good. And we got Willie Epteen Jr. with us as well. Willie, what's up with you?
Cleveland.
Yeah, the weather is a little bad outside, with some rain and stuff like that. How's your weekend go?
I don't remember. Kate, what you over there laughing at?
You not remembering your weekend?
Oh, okay.
And my hair is always out of control.
Okay. Rachel, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Had a little bit of a busy weekend, so I'm doing
What'd you
really
do?
good. Friday night, my sorority participated in a march, recreating a 110-year march for women's suffrage when women didn't have the right to vote. My sorority marched along with other women to guarantee the right to vote. And obviously, Black women were guaranteed the right a lot later, after 1913. But nevertheless, we persisted. So we marched very early for the opportunity for women to have suffrage. On Saturday, my mentor came into town and he took me, Rob Parker, you guys know Fox Sports. So he came into Cleveland and got a chance to hang out with him a little bit. And then yesterday, I got my hair done. So So yeah, it was kind of busy, but kind of relaxing.
Next time you see Rob Parker, you tell him I'm looking for him.
I will. I'll let him know what's up.
And y'all, you know why, and he knows why.
Yeah.
Does he owe you money?
Nah.
That's usually what that means. Rachel, you didn't give your sorority a plug. What's your sorority, girl?
It's Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated.
There you go.
You got to throw up the sign.
Well, I mean, so
I was going to, but I get in trouble. So because
yeah.
I can't. I know it.
You can do one side and I'll do the other.
Y'all silly. But yeah, women, not to get political, but there's still a lot of issues when it comes to voting in this country, and almost the right to vote is not guaranteed for many people. Ohio just recently purged some voter rolls. So that's an issue that you have taking place all the time. I don't understand why you're purged as a voter. If you're a registered voter and you have voted at least one time, you're purged if you haven't voted in a couple years. And I don't think that's, fair. So we have a lot of issues that still persist today when it comes to people having the right to vote. So, but yeah, we marched 110 years ago, and we are still marching for the right to vote and for certain freedoms and things of that nature. So it's like, I don't know when the fight will ever end.
It's not going to ever end. You know that. Just keep fighting.
I try to have some hope, and, maybe there will be some progress when, I'm getting up out of here, but who knows, So let's go ahead and talk about some sports. Cleveland Kate was at the combine. Cleveland Kate, how was the combine?
She was, it was really good. I went out there Wednesday night, talked to a whole lot of DBs on Thursday. Friday was wide receivers, tight ends, and quarterbacks. And then Saturday was the O-line boys. And then I hit the road and came home. Posted a lot of stuff on Twitter. If you go to Our Turf Football on Twitter, you can see all of the videos that I posted. I'm telling you, Rachel, I got to take you with me next year because I took over 250 videos of interviews with them, anywhere from 30 seconds to 6 minutes in all of these sessions. They do interviews at the combine for the media, with the players, the prospects, from 8 a.m. until 11 or noon, depending on the day. And there's 12, 15 podiums set up, and they do 3 sets in each hour. So you got 20 minutes and all these guys, and I'm running around like a crazy person. I get back to my hotel and start editing videos, sending out tweets, putting out comments on the players and what I think of them. And then there's the workouts in the evening, and it's a 2-person job. I was going crazy. I didn't even get all the stuff posted Saturday before I had to check out of my hotel and hit the road. I got home and sat down and started doing it again. My husband's like, you just got home. And I'm like, I still got stuff to do. So, but it was good. They've changed the setup a lot over the years. This year, all of the workouts, whether it was, the drills, the weightlifting, the bench presses, all of that, everything was done over at Lucas Oil Stadium. It was open to all the media and the public. You could sign up for NFL One Pass and get access to the stadium to watch it, which was really cool. And I noticed this year more than any other year, as I was doing stuff on Instagram and Twitter, that all these prospects have social media accounts now. I can remember when I first started going, and I was lucky if a handful of them have accounts. They all have accounts now. You can go to their official Instagram or Twitter accounts, and there's a link to get a hold of them and their agent and all of that kind of stuff going on. A lot of the guys I talked to, I thought it was interesting. Quarterbacks, right? Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, they're the big names. You got this L-shaped room with all these podiums set up, and Bryce Young is in the very first group, and there's 200 media guys around his podium, and there's like 3 people doing all the rest of them, which is fine with me. Y'all want to know about Bryce Young? Go. He's going to go at the top of the draft. I don't know why they even bothered. I went and talked to everybody else. I did the same thing with wide receivers, did the same thing with the corners, and a lot of these are hardworking kids who, they didn't all go to big name schools. They went to, Maryland and Fresno State and South Alabama and South Carolina. And a lot of these, that they are still tremendous athletes, got a lot of talent, got a lot to offer the NFL, just looking for their chance to get on a team. The vast majority of them, when you'd ask them things like, where do you see yourself playing? Are you a cover DB? Are you are you a nickel? Are you wide receiver? Are you in the slot? Are you in this, that, or the other? They're like, listen, I'll play anywhere. I'll play special teams. I'll play anywhere. Just get me on the field. Let me show what I can do. Talked to a couple guys in the 5'10", 5'11" range, which for me is a little short for a wide receiver. Asked them both, what do you say when the scouts tell you that you're too small? And he says, give me a football. Let me go. I will show you that size don't matter. I will get it done. So they just have a lot of heart. They all handled themselves really well. I have a couple favorites that I'm going to keep to myself, but it was really fun to watch them. I enjoy kind of highlighting the guys that aren't getting a lot of media and stuff and letting their family know. I like to ask about, most of them will mention family, and it's almost always their mom or their grandma. And I ask them, is your grandma your biggest fan or your biggest critic? Same with your mom. And I get a lot of, well, she's my fan, but she keeps me humble. She keeps me right. She keeps me grounded. A lot of that stuff. These kids are just really, I think, the most well-spoken and polite group that I've ever seen. None of them seemed all that nervous. They were getting some really weird questions. One guy said, this one guy, I don't know what media outlet he was with, but he was going around. I would catch him all during the couple days asking the same question. If you had to give up your skills at football or cheese for the rest of your life, which would it be? And apparently cheese won, but I don't even know where that question comes from. I don't know why. Some of the guys just kind of chuckled and answered it, but they were all polite about it. I don't know that I'd have been as polite as some of them were when they asked some of these weird questions that I think are just designed to kind of, throw up something different. I don't know what it was, but I enjoy going every year. I like to look back at my stuff from a year ago to see which prospects I talked to that actually did well in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb is somebody who actually I thought did really well at the combine last year, did really well in the drills. And then I thought he underperformed a little bit on the field. So we'll see. We'll see what this crop brings and what we get on the field from this, which of these guys make the cut for this year. Uh-oh. Go ahead, Willie.
I have a question.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal, by the way, that you're able to get up there and or go over there, I guess, for you guys and see that once a year like that. It's something that you hit on really, really resonated with me because you said how everybody was going to Bryce Young and then you were going to the others, if you will. Could you sense the humility from those guys that aren't maybe the prospects such as Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or even the Henderson kid. I'm sorry. Yeah, is it Henderson? Yeah, the Henderson kid from Florida. Could you sense the humility from those guys based on that?
Absolutely. They know that they're not going in the top 10. They're not Deion Sanders sitting down with the team in an interview going, where are you picking? Oh, you're picking 10? Yeah, I'll be gone by then. I don't need to talk to you. There's none of that. They just want a chance to get on with any team that they can get on with. A couple of the guys that I talked to, I talked to, I can't think of his name, born and raised in Pennsylvania, went to Penn State. Somebody said, do you want to play for Pittsburgh? There was a guy from Miami, went to high school in Miami, went to Georgia, and then transferred to the University of Miami U, Hurricanes, said, do you want to play for the Dolphins? They were all like, would I like to play in front of my hometown, my family? Absolutely. But I will play anywhere. I will go anywhere. They were happy for any attention they got, and they really just want to get on the field somewhere and show people their skills. They really do. I didn't get attitude from anyone this year, and I have talked to people who had attitude. There's Rachel and I talk a lot about we talked a lot about our favorite former Carolina quarterback, Cam Newton. There's a difference between being cocky and being self-assured and confident. And I've talked to some cocky prospects in the past. I didn't get any of that from any of these guys this year. It was self-assured and humble and just give me a chance and let you show me what I got. A lot of heart in this year's crop of kids. And I say kids because some of them aren't old enough to drink yet. Like, they're kids.
Legally.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to talk to CJ Stroud at all?
I did. So there was in the 8 to 8:20 a.m. group, we had Bryce Young. And then in the 8:20 to 8:40 group, they had CJ Stroud. And I wasn't getting anywhere near the podium when he was there. But you know me, they walked him off. And so Bryce, there's like a long wall and then a short wall where they have podiums set up. And then on the other long wall is where all the TV sit, the NFL, CBS, Sirius Radio, where they were doing live segments on TV with these guys. And they were taking select guys over for interviews. So Bryce Young went over. I saw him go over when he was done. So I knew CJ was going to go over. So when they walked him over there, I had to go over, and I'm like, because I'm a girl and I'm all meek. And I'm like, listen, I know you're getting ready to go. Can I just ask you a real quick question? And people don't like to say no to me. I will say he has a lot of poise. He is very well spoken. He is a very faith-filled young man.
Mm-hmm.
When he speaks about God and the power of God in his life, I believe every word he's saying. He's not just saying it because it's something people say at times. And I asked him, I said, listen, the rivalry is a big thing. Is that something that you will keep with you as you move forward? You could have former Michigan players as teammates. Is that a little something that's going to be in your mind? And he laughed and he said, this season did not end the way he wanted it to, and that every November he's going to be rooting for his Buckeyes. But if he has a teammate from Michigan, they're teammates now, and this is a job, and I'm going to try to have brothers with the people that are on my team and try to form those relationships with them. And yeah, we'll probably do a little back and forth in November when that day comes around. But so we talked about that a little bit, and I posted that on Twitter as just me grabbing him on the side. And he couldn't have been, his handler was like mean mugging me, and he could not have been nicer to me when I got out of there quick so that he had, I didn't want to interrupt him getting on TV because he's going to go top 5. But again, very nice, very, very very respectful. I think you get a lot, you get a look at their character in situations like this. When you've got to stand at a podium for 20 minutes and answer every question that comes at you. And again, some of the questions are not nice and they're not easy. And you are still polite and poised through the whole thing. That says a lot. And these kids have been really prepped for this. And I thought all of them did a good job. There wasn't a one that I walked away from thinking, oh, he's going to be a problem in the locker room or he's a little too full of himself. They were all, I enjoyed talking to all of them, and they were very nice to me. There were probably 250 reporters in that room gathering around the podiums. I saw 4 women asking questions.
Mm.
So we're still we're still in the minority in that kind of a setting. One of the ladies was asking them about their hype songs and their playlists, and they're just whipping out a phone. Well, let me just low shimmy. Wake them up. Apparently, what I don't know the song, but that was the right answer from 3 of them. So now I got to go look and see what a low shimmy is. I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, white girl Googling low shimmy. I don't know who that is, but apparently Wake Them Up is lit.
I don't know what that is.
It ain't just white girls. It ain't just white girls.
Almost don't count, Rachel, just because you are so behind the.
It ain't just white girls. Trust me.
Because I've never heard of low shimmy in my life. So
it's funny that you say all that, and I know we got to go to break here in a second.
No, we got a few minutes.
Okay, I actually talked
different today.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, hallelujah. So I talked to a kid that is a prospect out of Notre Dame. And I'm not able to really give his name or go into the specifics that we talked about because his agent is one of those up there that, they don't want you to do anything until they give the permission to do so. But as I was talking to him, like offline, he
didn't play tight end, does he?
No, he's a DB.
Okay.
He's a DB. But anyway, he was talking about those same things that you were talking about, Kate. He's like a projected second, third, maybe fourth rounder. But just to be invited to the combine is big in itself because how many players get invited? It's like 300, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, a few of them talked about reporters would ask them what their Senior Bowl experience was like, and there were a couple. I hate when reporters don't do their homework. There were a couple that I knew weren't invited to the Senior Bowl, and they said, I wasn't invited to the Senior Bowl. I went to the NFLPA Bowl, or I went to the Shrine. I played in the Shriners game. And they just skipped, instead of being salty that you're, bringing something up that I wasn't even invited to, they were like, I went to the Shriner, and it was amazing, and it was awesome, and I was thankful that they talked up the other game that they went to. You know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting from those players when it feels like a subtle dig, like, oh, and how was the Senior Bowl? Because only so many people get invited to that. And some of them are juniors. So I get you're a junior. You weren't invited to the Senior Bowl, but they still got to play in other games that really, in a way, are almost like the Pro Bowl in that they just showcase your talent. It's not, down and dirty in the mud thing. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's just, I don't know. I feel like they're at their most humble this week while they're trying to get a job. This is a job interview for them. This is a big deal because they're given access to all 32 football teams, whether they're formal or informal interviews. All 32 teams have access to them. And the interviews, a lot of questions this year were about the interview. So in past years, people would just say, did you have a formal interview with the Browns, the Cowboys, the 49ers, whatever? This year, they were actually asking about questions. And some of the teams would break down film with the players of their own film, would whip out film and go, what were you thinking here? What were you doing here? Some of them were like, we're going to teach you 3 plays. And they would teach them 3 Kyle Shanahan type plays. They would draw it out for them. And it's Spider Y Banana 72, 18, 19, 35, 20 more words things. And then half an hour later at the end of the interview, they'd say, so that play, whatever it was that we told you about, what was that? And they would have to know 30 minutes later what that play was. Like they're quizzing their football IQ as well as their talents and what they're able to do on the field. And nobody's really talked about those kind of the details of what goes on in those meetings before. I found it really interesting that NFL teams are doing that now, that are really quizzing them on that kind of stuff. They don't want to wait till they get into camp to find out they can't remember a play 5 minutes later or 30 minutes later.
So let me ask you this, Kate. And this is the same conversation I had with this prospect. What's the attitude towards those prospects when they're being asked questions about their background?
By the teams or by the reporters?
By the teams.
I think they're prepared for that. I mean, we've seen in prior years, one of the prospects left before the week even started because there were some legal issues back home he had to go deal with.
I think we know who that is.
We've seen, Laramie Tunsil in the past where this weird video comes out on draft day. I think they are now better prepared than they've ever been to discuss their past and discuss anything that may have gone on. The attitude is if there's any issues, bring it up, because if they don't, they probably already know, and they're waiting to see if you're going to say it first. If not, they will find out. And so they are prepared and ready to bring it up, to talk about it, and to move away from it. None of those kind of things were asked in the room with all of the media. Those were kept behind closed doors with the NFL. I did hear a couple people ask questions related to that, and the player was like, my agent has advised me not to comment on that in this setting. And that was all he said, and we moved on, and nobody, batted an eye at it. But I'm willing to bet he answered that question for a team. So,
yeah, and the reason why I asked you that question, and you answered it perfectly when you said they're waiting to see if they're going to bring it up, because as I was having this conversation with this young man, I said when somebody asks you a question like that, they already know the answer. They just want to see how you're going to respond, because that's going to speak to a lot to your character. And he was like, yeah, they've already prepared us for that. But thankfully for me, is what he said. Thankfully for me, I don't have any issues in my background. Just think if a team is willing to give a rookie quarterback or a rookie first rounder all this money guaranteed in a contract for this particular whatever, you can best believe they're probably spending 2 or 3 times more money than that on background checks.
For sure. And you get two things out of the reaction of the prospect when you ask that question. First thing you get is by looking at his face, if he was prepared for you to ask that question, which tells you, does he prepare for a game on Sunday? And then secondly, his answer gives you an idea to his maturity and his truthfulness and his character. Mm-hmm. So you can get a lot by asking a question like that. One of the young men I talked to, I asked him what was the weirdest question he was asked by a team in his formal interviews, or which question made him laugh. And he said, one of them actually asked me if I'd ever been arrested before, which I just thought was hilarious because I've never had a run-in with the police. And he just started laughing. And I just thought, I am glad you have never had a run-in with the police, but I would imagine you're in the minority in that group from where you come from and the color of your skin, that you are very lucky you have not had any kind of run-in with the authorities, whether you did something wrong or not. I've learned from Rachel that that's a common enough occurrence in the community. So I chatted up with him off sides a little bit afterwards, but it was just, it's one of my favorite things to do. My all-time favorite is Hall of Fame, but my second, seeing the guys at the end of their career and how much they appreciate what they did. Now seeing these kids before they get out there, and then interacting with their family and their parents and their coaches on Twitter. One of the tweets I sent out, I made a comment at, I list the player, where he's from, his stats and stuff. And then on one of them, I said, for what it's worth, this was the most polite young man I spoke to all week. And one of his coaches retweeted it and quoted, so that might be the best thing anyone's ever said about my players, is that he's the most polite person you'd talk to all week. And then his mom was tweeting at me, and I'm like, I call him like I see him.
All right, we got to go ahead and take a quick break, but we'll be right back to talk some more Combine. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back. The 2023 campaign, nothing about us. The definition of a strong service. Friday and Saturday, March 31st and April 1st, live at the First Baptist of Greater Cleveland in Shaker Heights, Ohio. Friday night. Shaker Heights? I can't hear you. Oh. With the Bolton Brothers, with special guests, Plus by 4, Marcus Newson, and the Newson Singers, plus Maurice Yancey and One Accord. Then on Saturday night, get ready for Gerald Pettis and Take 2. Plus, the Anointed Brown Sisters. Also on Saturday night, see Boy and Revelation. Plus, Free Holly and Faithful. 2 days of an explosive spiritual experience.
For more information, visit P&L Bookstore in Cleveland. Eventbrite.com/Gospel Kid. Call Pastor Banks at 216-544-0424. That's 216-544-0424. Or visit GospelKid.com. This service has been brought to you by Magnet Cleveland. Make them know your name. Sisters of Charity. King's Funeral Services. Jewels in His Crown. Gospel Music Historical Society. True by Bolton. Mental Health System. And Gospel Kid Communications. Along with WOVU 95.9 FM, Our Voices United, Burton Bell Clark Community Radio. All proceeds benefit Police Foundation Fleet and Jewels in His Crown.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right. Welcome back to WOVU and 95.9 FM. You're listening to Her in the Huddle. Remember, you can always keep it locked here at your regular radio station at 95.9 FM. You can always listen to us online at WOVU.org. You can also download that WOVU app and listen to us on the go. And then finally, you can contact the station, questions, comments, or concerns, 216-271-0959. And I'm here with Willie Epting Jr. and Kate Arhar. And we are talking some combine. Kate had the excellent opportunity to be able to go and meet a lot of young men and be able to document that experience. So make sure you follow her on social media and you can see everything that she did. But Kate, how enjoyable of an experience is it for you to get a chance to go to the combine and cover it?
I mean, it's amazing. It was the last thing I did before the lockdown for COVID. I got back from the combine in 2020, and then a week later, everyone at my office got sent home, and then they shut the whole country down. And then in 2021, they didn't have the combine. And then in 2022, it was like the first time I left our city to go do something. So like, it kind of bookended the COVID for me. I just like it when I get to do anything related to football, when I get to share stories of players and, whether it's NFL players and the charities that they're working for, or these prospects, and trying to get a little light on them and let some people see, who they are. Jason Brownlee, the wide receiver from Southern Mississippi, is the one that I commented on was the most polite. So I throw his name out there. There were an awful lot of quarterbacks in the room that I talked to on Friday that weren't named Bryce Young or CJ Stroud, Max Duggan, Tanner McGee, Hendon from Tennessee.
Yeah,
one of the smartest people that I've ever listened to talk. Somebody threw out a question from the media about, you're behind center, you take the snap, you step back 3, and you see, and he started rattling off stuff. He's like, what do you do? And without missing a beat, he's like, I could do this, I could do this. They're sort of rolling off his options just from a description. And it was just, the football IQ on that kid is insane. I like listening to the guys when you ask a lot of them what their favorite memory was, or their highlight was of their college career. Every single Tennessee player said it was beating Bama and watching those goalposts come down and get dragged to the river. Not this touchdown I made or this interception I made. Every single one of those Tennessee players brought up beating Bama, which to me speaks a lot to the culture in that locker room and why that team did as well as it did last year, because they are a team. They're not individuals. And so just seeing those kind of things helps keep me from getting as jaded as I get when I watch them, the professionals on Sundays, and I start to feel kind of like maybe character isn't where it should be with some of those pros. I'm reminded of all these young men coming up that just want a chance and to play a game that I love. So getting to go and cover them and see them and get to know them just a little bit is always an amazing privilege that I have.
Rocky Top. Woo!
Rocket Top.
Was Stetson Bennett there?
Huh?
Was Stetson Bennett there?
He was. I'm not a fan. I don't get it. I wasn't impressed with his play. I think they won in spite of him. When it comes to personality of the quarterbacks, there were a lot of them that I could sit and listen to for hours. Charlie Toon from Stanford, like I said, Tanner McGee, Max Duggan. There were quite a few of them there. That's not a fan. I'm just not. I mean, I'm sure he'll be fine wherever he ends up. I'm not feeling him.
He's not going to be anybody's
I
starter.
mean, he may have a great name. He may have the second best quarterback name since Shane Falco in the movie The Replacements. I mean, it's a quarterback name. But I don't know.
Or a horse name, because horses be having the coolest names. And I'm like, I don't know how they come up with horse names, but horses be having the coolest names.
Right.
I'll talk to you about horses' names later. And the favorite name I've ever saw on a horse was Hoof, Hoof, Hearted, Hearted.
Hoof hearted.
Just say it together.
Yeah.
How are we talking about horses, Rachel? Let's talk about Deshaun Watson wanting to restructure his contract.
Yeah, let's move on to it. Thank you for that coverage that you have for us of the combine. So Deshaun Watson said he is willing to reconstruct his contract because he wants to win a Super Bowl here in Cleveland. What are you guys' thoughts about that? And Willie, I'll take you first.
What else is he supposed to say? I mean,
it ain't like he said restructure and lower the amount of money you're going to pay me.
Well, he doesn't have to.
Restructure means his yearly salary will go down, so we have cap space, but we'll give him a big old bonus check today. He's still getting his money.
Exactly. So
don't do me no favor. He wants cash up front. He ain't stupid.
What
my cash up front.
Yeah, Kate, what else is he going to say, Rachel? I mean, like, no, because look at it like, I mean, and y'all got a lot of free agents. Y'all gonna have a lot of holes to fill.
Absolutely. I hear they're letting a whole lot of people walk, like Kareem Hunt, which makes me cry, amongst others, that they're just gonna let go and then see what they have left and what they need to pick up. So I'm
do about Amari Cooper. He's gonna be gone after this year. I mean, he only had
one year. No, he's not. He's still here.
He only had 1 year left. 1 year left on that Cowboy deal. Did y'all re-sign him to an extension?
Amari?
Yeah.
He's supposed to make like 23 million this year or something like that. 23 million.
No, I'm asking, did y'all when y'all signed? I mean, when y'all traded for him and got him, did the Browns extend him because that was the last year of his contract?
I don't think they did, Kate.
I don't think we get him for this year, Rachel.
So what we gonna do at receiver then? We messed up.
Well, Deshaun can't throw and catch. Can't throw to himself.
Yeah, he's not Mr. Perfect, Paul Henning, or Paul Henning. Listen, that's the same as I got my pen shaking at y'all. I told y'all about but I think with Amari Cooper, that's the same mistake that the Cowboys made when they got him from the Raiders. When they got him from the Raiders, they did not extend him at that time, and then he ended up costing them more money in the long run. And I don't even know does Amari even still want to be there? I mean, it would be different if Baker Mayfield was still his quarterback, but now he has I almost said Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson don't play quarterback; he plays wide receiver.
He had 3 years and $60 million remaining in his contract at the time of the trade.
With the Cow? Oh, you know what it was? His guarantee.
Because they restructured him 2 years ago to a 5-year deal worth $100 million, and then when the trade happened, they still owed $22 million. The Cleveland knocked that down to 16. So the Cowboys only had to come up with 16 because we gave him 6 for that first year of the trade, but we got the last 3.
Okay, and then his contract, his guaranteed money was up with the Cowboys. Is
yes.
What it was. Okay,
yes.
So I stand corrected.
All right, I got one person for Deshaun to throw to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So he's supposed to make 20 to like 23 million this year. Okay, so I was right. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be back.
It don't happen often, Rachel, but yeah, you were right.
I thought he was going to be back. I'm like, I looked this up today when I came up with the topic. So.
Well, good. Score 1 for Rachel.
I know. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so they're also letting Ronnie Harrison walk too, Jadeveon Clowney, and Greedy Williams. Are you guys surprised at all about Greedy Williams not really being able to get a chance to show what he can do because he's always been hurt. So is that any surprise to you guys? Kate, I'll take you first.
We can't stay healthy, Rachel.
Yeah. Yeah, but when he did get out
Availability
there,
is the most important ability in football. He can't
that
stay
is
healthy.
true. That is true. When he did get out there, though, he came up with some good plays. Willie, did you get a chance to ever, see Greedy Williams out there in action? He came from LSU and pretty much has spent his whole duration of his whole Browns career pretty much hurt.
Yeah,
So
when he was coming out of LSU, he was touted as one of the top corners in that draft. Unfortunately, like Kate said, whenever you can't get on the field, when you can't get on the field, you obviously won't be able to stay on the field. And if you can't stay on the field, guess what? They're going to cut you when your guaranteed money is up. So hopefully for him, the talent obviously is there. But you have to understand, or we have to understand, that the injury portion or the part of being able to stay healthy has to take precedence over anything else for that young man at this point. I'm sure he'll get another opportunity, but whatever opportunity he gets, if he can't stay healthy, he will have a short-lived career in the National Football League.
I think so too, because he came on at the end of the season, made some great plays and stuff like that. What they thought he was initially going to be able to do, but he wasn't able to sustain that in the beginning of his career. So I, like you, feel like he'll be able to find another home. Won't be making as much money and stuff like that, but he might have the opportunity to prove what he really can do. So best of luck to him. No Jadeveon Clowney. We already know why, but it's like I wonder if it would have been, something for him to play under Jim Schwartz, to kind of give that an opportunity. But it is way too far gone at this point. So that's what's taking place.
Can he be considered a bust as a number 1 overall pick?
I don't know. I feel like he's had some successes in his career, but once too, he's oft injured. So, he probably could have had a greater career, but injuries has, derailed what he possibly could have achieved as a player. You guys in agreement with that?
Everybody's right on that.
So Anthony Walker, he is likely to return this year. So we kind of need him at a linebacker. So we kind of short on linebacker. So what do you guys think about Anthony Walker returning? And I believe his season ended due to injury as well.
Most of our players ended their season due to injury, quite frankly. We had a ton of them. We need some depth. It's too soon to tell. They've got until March 15th to release players to do their franchise tags. I'm hearing Orlando Brown's not getting a franchise tag, which means he's free to walk. There's all kinds of crazy rumors about some of the Bengals and Eagles wide receivers looking to come to Cleveland. I'm not believing any of that. Deshaun Watson didn't show me or anybody else enough at the end of last season for me to believe that a wide receiver anywhere wants to come play here with him. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the destination city if you were ring chasing. This is where you go to get paid if you want to sit around and do nothing for your last couple years in the NFL. And that's what Cleveland has been for too long. So I'm not buying any of these rumors. I'm more interested to see what the franchise tag situation looks like for a lot of these teams, because there are some teams like the Ravens. I'll be very curious to see what they do. It's just, I'm more interested in franchise tags. They're going to hold on to some players that don't want to stay, which is going to take them off the market for us. I just ultimately, I don't know how desirable Cleveland is for anybody to come play here. We're in year 4 of Kevin Stefanski, right? And I don't know that he's the coaching genius we all thought he'd be. I'm like, I still got love for him. I still want him to be here, but now I'm hearing he is going to call the plays, even though AVP is our offensive coordinator. Kevin's still going to call plays. I don't know what that means for, free agents that want to come here and deal with them. I don't know. I'm not feeling like my city is where people want to go. That's all I'm saying. And our owner just bought 25% of the Milwaukee Bucks. So it ain't like he's got cash rolling around to pay people. So my cap situation is not good.
That ain't no problem for them, I'm sure. I mean, he's been cheap enough. Well, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm interested. I mean, I think a lot of this hinges on what Lamar Jackson's, or I shouldn't say what Lamar Jackson's gonna do, what the Ravens are gonna do with Lamar. And that's going to determine whether or not any wide receivers can get there. DeAndre Hopkins is actually or obviously on the block from the Arizona Cardinals. He's been linked to the Dallas Cowboys. This just in, by the way. But Lamar is going to probably get the non-exclusive tag. And I was telling somebody at my church this yesterday. If I was him, I would be absolutely hotter than fish grease. Because that speaks to the fact that they believe in me enough to give me the tag, but they don't, and they believe in me enough to
pay me.
Put that particular tag. No, to put that particular tag on me because they know I'll bring back 2 first-round picks. But they don't believe me enough to give me a contract that is worthy of what I have done and
Correct.
the system that has been built around me. So
Correct.
if I were him and they put the exclusive tag on that dude, that means he's going to get $32.4 million all guaranteed, but somebody can match that offer sheet and then he can go.
Right, for a year. He should be happy because this ain't no surprise to him. He don't want to be there and they don't want him there. At the same time, they need to get something for him. You can't let him go for free.
Well, let me ask y'all this. Do y'all think
they're not going to pay him what he's worth? They are ready to move on, but they cannot just let him go and move on from him. They need to get those picks back. They need to get something back from somebody. It's just business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to get your panties in a bunch when you say, I'm on the free agent market and I'm looking to get the biggest deal any quarterback's ever gotten from whatever team will pay me, and then complain if the team you're on is trying to get something for themselves too.
Yep.
He'll end up in a very nice situation. $32 million for 1 year is nothing to sneeze at. He will end up in a very nice place for him for a year, and then he can go do what he gonna do.
Okay, he if they put that tag on him and somebody makes him an offer of 5 years or 4 years and $215 million with $195 million guaranteed, and Baltimore does not match it, he's gonna get that money. He ain't worried about the $32.4 million exclusive tag at that point. So you know what? You said something that made
he's gonna get paid.
That's what you said actually makes more sense to me than him being hotter than fish grease. Because if they put that exclusive tag on him, he's probably saying, I don't know what he would be saying, but good God Almighty, Baltimore will be they will become the Cleveland Browns that they used to be.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean. When he didn't travel with the team in the playoffs, I knew he was done with them, and I knew they were done with him.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just about, they're getting divorced. Does the team get to pick his new wife for him, or does he get to go out and date a little bit and pick his own wife? That's what we're down to now. Because he go dance with somebody this year. I don't think he takes a snap in preseason for Baltimore.
And you have other players on that team that are now saying that he was healthy enough to play in that game.
Yep.
So they now throwing him under the bus. Or it could be the Ravens with that propaganda throwing that crap out there to diminish the value. You know what?
They're trying to cover their butts. They didn't want him playing in that game. So they said that he wasn't healthy, and now they're like, well, he could have played, but, he didn't. They didn't want him playing in that game. If he'd have gone to them and said, I'm ready to go, they'd have said no.
All right, y'all. We're going to take a break right quick, and we'll come back with this Lamar situation.
We got to say goodbye to Willie. He got to go teach some people some things about fish grease. Thank you, Willie.
Not fish grease. I got a new podcast team coming to part of the SBMG. So I got to show them some things real quick. So I'm sorry I had to cut out early, but he texted me and said, "Yo, I need you." So I got to go where the money goes.
All right, Willie, we'll holler at you. Thank you for being here.
She got me. All she needs is me.
That's right, baby.
All I need is my boo.
That's
so
right.
We'll be right back. All right, Willie.
All right,
Turn the Huddle WOVU.
Now let's start off in a squad. These awards make them know your name foundation is backed by popular demand.
We're coming together in the name of health, wellness, and fitness.
What was that?
That's Nicole Ward, the co-founder of the Make Them Know Your Name Foundation.
Saturday, March 11th at the marvelous First Energy Stadium. And this year is bigger and better than ever. That's right, be there Detroit's #1 trainer, Cleveland.
Look at that body, man. My goodness gracious.
This fast-paced cardio class, charged up, and so much more.
And you can't forget the out-of-town training crews. We have crews coming in from all over. Atlanta, New York, Chicago. And New Life with Maisha will also be in the building. With a host of other Cleveland trainers and instructors.
You'll definitely need a breather when they're done with you. But don't worry, after your workout, you can take a breath.
You'll be able to shop a wide variety of vendors. You'll have access to interactive health and wellness demonstrations and plenty of health and wellness booths. You can be surprise special guests and celebrities, and you can even win autographed sports memorabilia. And you know, DJ Low-Key is going to have all the deals.
And that's definitely you can laugh off your soreness from your morning workout with hilarious comedians.
Now stop right now. Make a lot of noise for Mr. Steve. Even dog to me and be
They'll have you laughing harder than you were wheezing earlier that morning. Missing this event is out of the question. No matter what level of fitness you are at, you need to be at this fitness expo. You absolutely want to be in the building March 11th at First Energy Stadium for the Cleveland All-Star Fitness Expo from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with the comedy bash starting at 7 p.m.
I don't know.
And remember, as long as there's still breath in your body, it's never too late to start your fitness journey. You can even take your first step at this year's Cleveland All-Star Fitness Expo. You can get all the details at allstarexpo.eventbrite.com. That's allstarexpo.eventbrite.com. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Eventbrite right now. Hurry! This message is brought to you by Denzel Ward's Make Them Know Your Name Foundation and 95.9 FM, WOVU. Our voices united, Burtonville Park Community Radio.
Welcome back to Her in the Huddle with Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports.
All right, welcome back to Her in the Huddle, WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports, and I am here with Cleveland Kate. Cleveland Kate, what's up?
Not much.
Yeah, we just finished. Well, I don't know if
Lots of football talk
yet.
today.
Huh?
Lots of football talk today.
Yeah, I don't know if we're done with Lamar. But I was going to ask you guys, is it that Lamar hates this team or he just wants to get paid?
I think Lamar wants to get paid, and I think rightfully so. When he came out of Louisville, there were a lot of concerns about his durability because he's a running quarterback. There were a lot of concerns about his ability to progress. Was he already at the ceiling of what he could do? Would it only take defenses a year or two to figure out how to stop him? He has proven that aside from an injury this year, he has stayed healthy, that he can pass from the pocket if he has to. His decision-making on the line it's not always run first. They're doing designed run plays for him. Like, he has done everything that you would want him to do, and he is not even at the ceiling of his game. I think he can go even higher as a quarterback, and the disrespect from the Ravens of not being willing to pay him now is ridiculous. I think that he is at the end of his rookie deal, and he has proven all of the doubters wrong, and he needs to get paid. And if the Ravens won't pay him, if they don't have the loyalty to pay him in a division that is legit up for grabs, like it's Baltimore and Cincinnati, let's get real. Pittsburgh's got quarterback issues that I don't think they're going to solve anytime soon. And I don't know what's going on with the Browns. Deshaun Watson has not yet shown me that he can lead us to the top of this division, which leaves Lamar going up against Joey Burrow. And it ain't like Lamar's got 10 years on Joey. He's got a year on him. So the Ravens should want to lock that down. They should want to have him as their quarterback. They should want to continue building around him. And the fact that they don't seem to want that tells me he needs to go. They don't want him to stay, and he doesn't want to stay because they're not going to pay him. He deserves to get paid. Mm-hmm. He really does. And if that means he goes somewhere else, then so be it. I could see him in Minnesota. I could see him in probably somewhere down south in like Carolina. I could see him in Tampa Bay. Like there's a lot of places where I think his skill set would fit in really well with Arizona, really well with what they already have. They could pick up a couple inexpensive pieces around him and he'll be fine. So, I don't know. I don't want to feel bad for him because he's a Raven, but I don't like the way the Ravens are treating him.
It's flat out disrespectful.
Yeah, I agree. Completely agree.
Yeah,
Yep.
based on his ability and what he's done for that franchise, it's just flat out disrespectful. I mean, when you think about the situation about what's up with Deshaun Watson, he sat out for pretty much 2 years and he got 235 million guaranteed. It's flat out disrespectful. So
Yep.
I understand if Lamar, parts ways with the team. At the end of the day, he deserves to get paid. I'm not a Raven fan, but I am a Lamar fan, and that is based on how they treated him, coming out the combine. He should switch to a wide receiver, those stereotypes about black quarterbacks and stuff like
Yep.
that. And he's proven them wrong at every stretch of the imagination. So I root for Lamar, to be successful, never against the Browns or anything like that. But I just think about, how he was typecast and all that other stuff, and he proves people wrong. So let's talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. We got a few minutes. In 10 minutes, the game against the Boston Celtics starts. So huge game they played last week. Unfortunately, they lost. This was a national game on ESPN. They kind of let the third quarter get away from them. It was very competitive up until halftime. And then, Boston kind of went on a huge run in the third quarter. And then the Cavs, tried to come back at the very end, but wasn't able to. So I think we only lost by 4 points. But it was just too little too late. They let it get too away from them to be able to come back. And we talked about that with this team. They allow teams to go on big runs or start better, and it's just too much to surpass at the end of the day, and then they're exhausted and tired. So they were able to redeem themselves and beat up on the lowly Detroit Pistons. So that's a good thing. Huge win by 30 points the other night, and now you got Boston coming into town again. Can this team possibly go 3 games to 1 against Boston? Boston is sitting Al Horford, Jaylen Brown is sitting, and also they are coming off of a back-to-back. This would be their second game in a row, and they went in a double overtime against the Knicks last night in Boston, and the Knicks beat Boston.
Well, and
So
the game before that, wasn't that when Boston took on the Brooklyn Nets and got their butts handed to them by the Nets?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I caught the end of that game. That was pretty brutal. So, yeah, I mean, Boston's got, they want to even this series up for the year. We took a couple wins early, but I think mentally the Cavs need to win this game. I don't care if they play at full strength or if Boston sits, a couple people. Mentally, the Cavs need to get over that last loss to them, and they need to make sure if they get up by 10 points, JB needs to take a timeout. He needs to change that personnel up. He needs to do whatever he needs to do to keep them within 10 at most, because once it gets past that, it gets out of control. And you're right, they're struggling to close those gaps again, because it doesn't become 12 points or 13, it becomes 20 or 30 really quickly, because they lose their focus, and so their whole transition game goes out the window. They commit unforced errors, turnovers, everything in transition, and then it's all bad, and then they're playing at the speed their opponent wants to play at, instead of dictating the speed they want to play at. So they got to stay within 10 at all times. Ideally, they get a lead and just stay up. But if they get down by more than 10, JB needs to do something from a coaching standpoint to nip that in the bud. He cannot allow them to get that any farther behind. Mentally, they need to win this game. If we're getting close to the playoffs, we arguably still have a shot at overtaking Philly for third. Mentally, they need this win.
I don't think this team is built to really come from behind by too many points. So that's part of the issue, especially when you have issues at the 3. They never addressed it at the trade deadline. So this is what you have. You have your starters at 20-something points, and you have Isaac Okoro with 4 points. So that's something that's going to be glaring in the playoffs.
We talked about him last week. I'm surprised he's still in the starting rotation. I really am surprised he's still our starting 3. I don't like it. I don't know what's wrong with Karis LeVert. I like him. I want to see him back in the starting rotation.
And you can get more points production from Karis LeVert than you can Isaac Okoro. So I think, if we go if we beat Boston 3 games to 1 for this, season series, I don't think it'd matter if we face them, in the playoffs. Boston is a tried and true tested team, coming off of playing, in the finals. Unfortunately, they weren't able to win it. But, it's like, I hate Golden State. I hate Boston. So I didn't really care who won. But
I hate all kinds of people. I just know the Cavs play well on the road, but they play better at home.
Yeah.
And you said something to me earlier today. They need home court advantage for as much of the playoffs as they can get it for. And being a the 3 seed gives them that. And they just need to keep driving to that goal to stay on pace to be the 3rd seed for the playoffs and get some home, get that first series at home and go from there. I don't know. They can do it. We're going to end up talking about JB, you and I, at the end of this season. I just don't know if it's going to be in a good way or a bad way.
Yeah, they have to hold off the Knicks, though, too, because the Knicks are surging right now. And they were able to go into Boston and beat Boston, and
it took them double overtime to do it. And to your point, we may be the beneficiaries of that because we got Boston now. So if we can beat Boston, I think that gives them enough of a little mental pickup that'll carry them through the next couple games. And I think we got Philly again coming up here.
Yes,
we need to win that game again because we're going to the playoffs. But how we roll in there. If we roll in as we're surging, if we go in on a high, if we go in ready to knock them out and get it done, a lot of that's mental, right? So we need this win against Boston and we need that win against Philly for me to feel like they'll be in the right mental state to do what they need to do in the first round of the playoffs.
And home court advantage is going to be important because we all know how the officials officiate during the playoffs, for the home teams. So that's going to be important for the Cavs as they try to build their confidence and actually advance in the playoffs. I told you that somebody I knew had them as a sleeper pick to make the Eastern Conference Finals. So that means that Boston or Milwaukee or, it just, depending on how that bracket shapes up as well too. Because Boston and Milwaukee won't be in that same bracket, I believe, as a 1-2. So
we wouldn't see them either of those teams till the finals.
Right. Yeah. So we would have to beat one of them to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and I just don't see that happening. I would love to think that we would, but like I said, having issues at 3, you need 5 good starters that can play basketball, and unfortunately, you don't have that. So that's one of the things that will hold this team back, no matter how you try to slice it. So if they have a first round exit, it could be the swan song for JB, but depending on they're able to make it to the second round and stuff like that, I think them losing to Boston or Milwaukee is respectable.
Yep. Yeah, but we got to get there.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true.
They can't beat Boston tonight. They can't beat Philly when we take them. I don't know that I'd put money on us to win in the first round because I think they'll be mentally defeated. They need to believe in themselves. They need a little shot of confidence right now and to be reminded that they are talented enough to play with the big dogs. All I've seen all year, even with the issues that Okoro's having at 3, even with that, they still have the talent to win these games. They can play defense. They are putting up points. It's the mental lapses that go on in games where you got to keep that to a minimum and keep focused. And if they can do that, I think they can. I'd rather see them play Boston. I think they match up better against Boston than they do the Bucks. I would feel better about them beating Boston in the second round than if somehow they ended up having to face Milwaukee. I don't know that they can get past Milwaukee if that's what the finals matchup looks like. But talent-wise, I think we can get by Boston, and I think we own a little real estate in Boston's head for what we've done this year. We'll see tonight who's got the edge in that matchup. So,
yeah, being able to obviously, Jason Tatum is their guy. So being able to lock him down, if somebody can possibly do that, you win the game very easily. I would say Al Horford is kind of their heart guy. So, he's not playing. So, Jaylen Brown not playing is a good thing as well, man. That's our time, girl. So hopefully the Cleveland Cavs can get a win tonight. Cleveland Kate, I want to thank you so much. It's so good to see you. Thank you for all your combine coverage. You're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. And we are out of here.